Good to see you guys. So the other day, let me just jump right into it. The other day, I was just kind of in my house walking around, and I kept hearing in my head all of a sudden, wounds, wounds. I'm thinking, why am I thinking about wounds? Like, what's wounds? What's a couple of scriptures with wounds in it? I go, your wounds are incurable. So I'm like, let me just Bible Hub, and I'll search that out and see what that verse is, where that is, and what it is, or what's around it. So then I do that, and I find Jeremiah 15. And in Jeremiah 15, there's a lot of things that point directly to Revelation. And right at the beginning, mainly, is a verse that talks about, as in Revelation 13, those who go into captivity are destined for captivity. Those who are destined for the sword are to be killed by the sword, I think it is. I'll put it here. And then you can read on in that. And it's a very amazing, you start reading of what it's talking about, relevant to today. So here again, there's a spiritual sense of things that are going on that I think are a little bit deeper than looking for a lot of physical things. I've spoken about this in the past, mainly with the mark. I think it's so Exodus 13 and Deuteronomy 6 both speak about, keep these as a reminder on your hand and in your forehead, like your thoughts and your actions in your hands. It's like a reminder. So I'll put these scriptures up there too, so you guys can see that. So then I started thinking about it more, and I said, well, wounds are like sores. Sores are what happens after you get wounded. You have a sore, an open sore. So then I was like, okay, well, that kind of makes me think about the first bowl. So then I started looking up just the word sores, just singularly, and looking at, because I thought in that first bowl, I just want to make a point too, that it said boils and sores, and it's not boils and sores, it's just sores. It's not even sores, it's not plural, it's sore. So those who take the mark will have a sore. And I'll get back to that. So now you go into that word search, and I'm looking around. That's where I ran into a couple different scriptures. So I clicked on Isaiah, and it was chapter 1. So chapter 1 begins, the vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos. So the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. So when you go down to just the 4th verse, this is what you get. Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the word, they have forsaken the Lord, and they have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They have gone away backwards. Wow, it's just starting to snow. Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more, and the whole head is sick, and the whole heart is faint. So their sins are covered. They're covered in their sins. So this is verse 6. Now this is where it gets to my point here. From the sole of their foot even unto the head, there is no soundness in it. But the wounds and bruises and putrefying sores, they have not been closed, neither been bound up, neither mollified with ointment. So you just cut it off right there. So from the sole of their foot under their head, there's no soundness. Soundness, if you Google dictionary, it's logic. It's the physical and mental sound. You're physically and mentally sound. You can think for yourself. And I'll put the definitions up here. So look at that now when you go into, where is it here? Revelation 16. So, and I heard a great voice out of the temple saying, to the 7 angels, "Go your ways and pour out the vials of wrath of God unto the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore one upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image." So now, if you take that, oh man, I moved my bookmark. What's being said in Isaiah is, because of their iniquities, they're like sores. So now you see where I'm going with this. So if we're talking about a physical mark, which when you're looking at Revelation 13, there's a lot of things that are happening which get down finally to then saying the mark is coming upon the people. Those who will not take the mark shall be killed. So, the second beast comes about, and he exercises all the power of the first beast, and causeth the earth and them dwelling therein to worship the first beast. So that has to happen. Is that happening? Whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh even fire come down from heaven. So fire could literally be somehow they're doing Project Bluebeam. They're controlled of weapon systems. They're making missiles launch to and fro. Blah, blah, blah. I've spoken about rail guns, which, can launch a Honda Civic 20 miles with their power. It's insane. 20 miles, if you think about that. And where does it go down to? And by those means, he had the power of those to do miracles. So looking at that messianic project, where it's a group of rabbis saying that, we've brought Christians in that are denying Jesus, and we have them, now to find salvation. They've denied Jesus, and they're going to find salvation through us because we have the true, and that's going to fight against, eventually, that's going to bring about the New Testament being a bad book, somehow falsehood. And when you look at those 7 laws, and it could be considered as then like a hate speech. I just heard this morning on, I think, Carl Vernon talking about in the UK, they're wanting to pass some sort of a hate speech law, and they're leaving it very vague and very open. So if you speak against the bug thing, saying that you know more than they do, that could be considered hate speech, because now you're if they want to, because that's why they leave it so wide open. They could do a lot of things with it. So now you've seen more, because if we're looking for a physical mark, which can come about, but they have 42 months to do it. So we're just in the beginning throes of this after about a year, and now we're getting into the second bowl, possibly, if this is the true time we're in. How can we know? We're just looking for signs that are pointing to these things, but we got to kind of keep going back. Which now, if we're in the second bowl, I've talked about Habakkuk, and you've got to look at Habakkuk, if that's how you pronounce it. I'm sorry, and read that the first 2 chapters are key, and it talks about they're catching men like fish, and they're causing all this iniquity, which we're seeing all these people just getting drawn into science and to all these other kind of things, which is really important to watch. I would recommend anybody, if you haven't seen it, the On Point Preparedness, the Vultures video. It's about a half an hour long, but you'll see how great of a teaching that is. And here we're seeing these vultures coming out, and they're bringing their false teachings to people, and they're saying, "Oh, I have a way. We gotta fight for our God-given rights, and we gotta, the trucker convoys. We gotta support these guys." And everybody's getting drugged down into this false spirituality, which was also a great point to watch. The Brad from Carolina, which now he's changing his name, so I want to say that too, to Armor of Truth. But I think it's gonna be Brad from Carolina, Armor of Truth, and then he's gonna just go to Armor of Truth. So just a word to the wise. I'll get more into the Habakkuk again, because it also ties into Hebrews, and you'll see that there is this great this great, if we're in this sea, and all the fish, or all the life in that, all the souls in that sea die. So if you're looking at Revelation 12, the ending verses talk about he cast a flood out after the woman. Now, if we're looking for Satan to come down as a dragon, and dragons usually spit fire, but this one, he spits out a flood of water. No, see, you got to get into what is being said here. He spits out a flood. He causes a massive problem to flow upon the earth and engulf the children of the woman, or go after the woman, I believe it is. And so then the earth swallows up that flood, and the beast start rising out of that flood. So the beast rising out of these problems. Here we have these problems, and who's coming to the rescue? And that's what's going to happen, I believe, with the second beast, is he's going to come out and say, now I have this, we have this better way that we need to get back to, or we need to go into, because of all these things that have happened. So I'll leave it at that. Just a word to the wise. Eventually, I believe that this is going to come to a head, and I don't think that we've seen the worst of it. I think a lot of people still thinking that this can get much, much worse, because if you're going to revolt against them, they're going to push back. And if you push back thinking you're going to overtake them, that gives them the power then to overtake anybody that's coming against them, because the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And seeing that in Austria, I think they're making compulsory jabs now, and even the media is reporting, well, there's only a small minority that aren't on board, so it'd be easier to cast them aside or do whatever we need to, and eventually they better or figure it out. So just a word to the wise. I will cut this off now. God bless, guys. I'll try to come back. I even doing this, I find a lot more. So God bless. Thank you, Lord. All praises to the Most High.